show you.
Getting blinded by science was the least of these guys' worries. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 movie science experiments that went horribly wrong.
Sir, she's breaking out!
For this list, the film experiments in question may have started out based on altruistic purposes, but they inevitably take a hard left into life-threatening terror.
Tell them that I am the law.
Do not believe him! He is not!
We'll admit, scientists have given us so many life-improving advancements, but let's be honest, that's hardly any fun to see on the big screen. Also, a spoiler alert is definitely in order.
A fly got into the transmitter pod with me that first time when I was alone.
Number 10. To recreate the super soldier serum, the Incredible Hulk.
Get her back here!
In this reimagining of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby's creation, Dr. Bruce Banner attempts to remake the super soldier serum that gave us Captain America, a significantly nobler endeavor than his comic book counterpart, who was building a bomb.
But he was so sure of what he was onto that he tested it on himself. And something went very wrong. Or it went very right.
What didn't change from the comic, however, is Banner's bad luck. In both cases, the good doctor is exposed to gamma radiation that unpredictably transforms him into a big green monster. Whenever he's hurt, mad, or his heart rate surges, Bruce cannot control himself, accidentally trashing cities, hurting people, and ruining his wardrobe when in the guise of the Green Goliath. And when the technology that turned him into the Hulk falls into the wrong hands, well, you can imagine the destruction that causes.
If you'll just get back on the table, I can fix this.
Number 9. To search for a higher being, the Island of Dr. Moreau.
Move back!
Two things mad scientists enjoy: playing God and island living. Well, if they're anything like Dr. Moreau, that is. Here, the titular character is a Nobel Prize-winning man of science who's withdrawn to a secluded island, his sights set on creating human-animal hybrids. To Moreau, the beast folk represent the next evolutionary step for the human race, free of hatred and the worst aspects of humankind.
And I have almost achieved perfection, you see, of a divine creature that is pure, harmonious, absolutely incapable of malice.
In case his genetic manipulation wasn't enough to keep his creations in line, the father, as they call him, uses remote-controlled pain-inducing implants, drugs, and the law to ensure they behave. But their animal instincts eventually take over, causing the mutants to remove their implants, reject the father, and stage a violent takeover of the island.
Now I am the law!
Number 8. To cure cancer, I Am Legend.
Take something designed by nature and reprogram it to make it work for the body rather than against it.
You're talking about a virus?
Indeed, yes, in this case, the measles.
A cure for cancer, definitely a noble cause. But what if our scientific experimentation led to the end of the world? Scientists genetically modify a strain of measles in an attempt to create a cancer remedy. But instead of ridding the world of a horrible illness, an even more horrible fate is unleashed on humanity.
So far, almost 5,000 patients treated with a retrofitted virus had begun exhibiting symptoms resembling the early onset of rabies. 25 patients have already died.
Only 1% of the population is immune to the Crippen virus, while 9 out of 10 people who catch it die. The other 9% become Darkseekers, homicidal mutants who can't tolerate the sun, or Will Smith apparently. Smith is part of the lonely 1%, so he's left wandering the ruins of the once heavily populated world, trying to find a cure to Crippen, fighting off Darkseekers, and desperately searching for another human.
Look, I can save you! I can help you! You are sick, and I can help you!
Number 7. To Bridge Spacetime, Event Horizon.
This is the gateway.
They say the road to hell is paved with good intentions. Well, in this entry, the good intention is an artificial black hole, and and the hell may literally be just that. The gravity drive was created to use black holes to jump from point A to point B far quicker than otherwise would have been possible. Certainly a game changer when it comes to space exploration. But it links more than just 2 points in the space-time continuum. It opens a portal to a nightmarish dimension.
She tore a hole in our universe, a gateway to another dimension. A dimension of pure chaos. Pure evil.
Side effects for the crew on this mission include hallucinations and possession by some malevolent force. Death is seemingly inescapable for those aboard the Event Horizon starship, leading to a full-on space massacre they don't prep you for at space camp. Number 6. To cure Alzheimer's disease. Rise of the Planet of the Apes.
We gave her what we call ALZ-112, a gene therapy that allows the brain to create its own cells in order to repair itself.
Like our 8th entry, the main idea here was to end a horrible real-life illness. Inspired by his own father's experience with Alzheimer's, scientist Will Rodman creates a drug called ALZ-112 as a potential cure.
In biology, this is called neurogenesis. Here at Genesis, we call it the cure to Alzheimer's.
When tested on chimps, it increases their intelligence, as does the stronger gaseous version ALZ-113. Of course, with that higher IQ comes the need for the apes to question their status in the brutal human world. And thus, the revolt begins. In the fight for the apes' freedom, lives are lost and battle lines are drawn between species. Once ALZ-113 proves deadly to humans, well, it's no wonder the apes are able to rise. Better hail Caesar now while you have the chance.
Caesar, I'm sorry. This is my fault. This has to stop.
Number 5. To provide renewable fusion-based power. Spider-Man 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, fasten your seatbelts.
This reimagining of Dr. Otto Octavius starts off as a nice guy. He's an adoring husband and mentor, as well as the creator of a fusion power reactor destined to solve the world's energy crisis. Using this machine involves mechanical arms with artificial intelligence, which are linked into the doctor's brain. Too bad the experiment was funded by Oscorp, a company seemingly specializing in science gone awry.
It's only a spike! It'll soon stabilize!
An energy spike causes the reactor to become unstable, ultimately leading to the death of Octavius's wife, fusion of the arms to his spine, and the creation of one classic supervillain. And while Norman Osborn creating the Goblin formula was certainly hazardous to New York's health, that didn't even compare to the damage Doc Ock nearly caused recreating his reactor.
What are you doing? Pull the plug!
Number 4. To understand good and evil. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
I beg of you, Jekyll, tell them who you are. Tell them what you've done.
These characters served as inspiration for the Incredible Hulk. Although, unlike our superhero friend, Mr. Hyde has no heroic moments in this film. Dr. Jekyll wants to understand the good and evil that resides within each human. What's more, he hopes to isolate each side in an effort to eradicate the negative aspects of the psyche altogether. To accomplish this, he creates a formula that brings out the worst in its subjects, ultimately using himself as the first human guinea pig.
You must destroy the formula at once, do you understand?
I've done that.
No, I mean you must destroy it from your mind. You can't take this thing again.
The outcome is Mr. Hyde, an abusive scoundrel who personifies the evil living beneath Dr. Jekyll's refined surface. Sadly, Jekyll can't control the monster within, who becomes a dangerous predator and terrorizes London, keeping the Doctor in constant turmoil.
It's no use, Jekyll. You better come quietly.
Number 3. To bring back dinosaurs. Jurassic Park.
Boy, do I hate being right all the time.
Kids love dinosaurs. Kids love theme parks. Why not combine them? Sounds great, until the tourists become lunch. Using new technology and know-how, plus a little dino DNA extracted from preserved mosquitoes, John Hammond's bioengineering company makes T-Rexes and raptors a thing of the present, not the past.
A DNA strand like me is a blueprint for building a living thing.
And sometimes animals that went extinct millions of years ago, like dinosaurs, left their blueprints behind for us to find.
Oh, if only that were the end of the story. It only takes one disgruntled computer programmer to sabotage the entire experiment. Without electrified containment fences, those once majestic creatures go on a killing spree. Their target? Anything that moves, especially Jurassic Park's unlucky guests. Jurassic World's Indominus Rex may have been a next-level force to be reckoned with, but we have to acknowledge the original laboratory oops that started the chaos.
Why the hell would he turn the other ones off?
Number 2. To create human life. Frankenstein.
It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive. It's alive.
No mad science experiment is more iconic than Dr. Henry Frankenstein's quest to use electricity as the spark to create human life. Unfortunately, the good doctor's experiment was as misunderstood as the creature he created.
You have created a monster and it will destroy you.
Cobbling together a mishmash of body parts he amassed from dubious sources and harnessing the power of lightning, Dr. Frankenstein becomes a master of death, if only briefly. Incited by his fear of fire, but propelled by his criminal brain, the dim-witted monster rebels, ultimately committing murder, sometimes out of naivete, sometimes due to pure rage. So we'd have to give Dr. Frankenstein's experiment a big F. Although, if his true plan was to start a long-running franchise, Universal Studios probably considers it a rousing success.
Bring him down to the village and let's take him home.
Before we unveil our number 1 pick, here are some honorable mentions.
I feel fear for the last time.
We're going to pull together and we're going to find a way to get out of here. First, we're going to seal off this room.
What's happening?
Breathe.
Check his airway. His lungs are seized. Intubate!
Number 1. To teleport humans. The Fly.
Teleportation? Please.
That baboon demo was bad enough, but Dr. Seth Brundle took his experiment up a notch, resulting in probably the biggest science fail in cinema history. Dr. Brundle builds telepods, matter transportation devices that theoretically can send stuff from one pod to the other immediately. But one drunken trip into the pod is all it takes for this science experiment to go terribly wrong.
What are we waiting for? Let's do it.
Unbeknownst to Brundle, a housefly tags along, and the computer fuses their molecules and genes. The result is a body horror mutation only David Cronenberg could create, as the Doctor's hybrid self becomes less human, both physically and emotionally.
No, I'm becoming something that never existed before. I'm becoming Brundle Fly.
Eventually, the Brundle Fly loses so much of its humanity, it tries to merge itself with his girlfriend and their unborn child.
We'll be the ultimate family. A family of 3 joined together in one body. More human than I am alone.
Do you agree with our list?
Whatever doesn't kill me makes me stronger.
Yeah, and ends our careers.
What other movie experiments kept you away from lab class?
For the last time, Lanyon, will you let me leave here alone?
For more entertaining top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.